3. They string out. We'll see if they get the flag this time. Front row. That's a green, you bet. Pole sitter leads him across the line, and we are racing here as Zanardi falls in. Look at Emerson Fittipaldi making a good move. And at the front of the battle, he touched into the wall.
He touched Greg Moore. He touched Greg Moore right there. He just came down on him a little bit.
Emerson was really flying as he came through turn 1. Devastating damage to that race car. And, of course, we go back under yellow. Keeping an eye on Fittipaldi to make sure he is okay and make sure that everybody else got through clean. We didn't see any other car get sideways as a result of it. But right here on turn 2, Fittipaldi touches tires, gets into the wall, and actually slid from the turn well down the racetrack and sits on the exit to turn 2. So under yellow, with a lap and a half complete here in the Michigan 500, we'll go back and see if we can determine how this happened. Fittipaldi was the red car, definitely making a move high of Moore. And I think you're right. He just touched tires. The fire there, of course, is oil when you smash it
right
like
here.
That. Yeah,
see,
there it is.
He just clipped Greg Moore. That right there is an oil flash fire where a broken oil line or something and dumped it out. That is not fuel. See, he goes right around him on the outside. See your red car up there just in front. Moore looked like he moved up maybe a hair. They're in there racing just inches apart, and he just touched, and that's all it takes. See him down here? Greg goes up just a little bit.
Yeah,
Emerson's coming down. See the piece of bodywork flying in the air right over that car. Boy, and I tell you, they were at the front of the field. The really lucky part is the rest of the field didn't get involved in that.
Well, there is Carl Hogan, who is the owner of Emerson Fittipaldi's car. You can see he's frustrated and angry with that situation. We'll check on Emerson, and we'll be back. We are back at Michigan International Speedway, the Michigan 500, which is under yellow. It started under yellow, went to green for about half of a lap, and then Emerson Fittipaldi touched wheels with Greg Moore. Now, the report from the scene is that there is not a life-threatening injury there. In fact, we saw a moment ago Emerson Fittipaldi was conscious and was actually talking to and aiding his rescuers. Now, the rest of the field circulates behind the race leader, Jimmy Vassar, and he, of course, lines up behind the pace car. Danny, this is what happened.
Yes, right down here on the bottom in that light blue car is Greg Moore. And above him, right up here, is Emerson Fittipaldi. And then they go moving. Emerson's got the momentum. He's got a great start going. Greg's a little slow. Emerson's passing him around the outside. Right here, stop right there. They just touch right in there. Emerson clips Greg's front of his car with his rear, and it just turns him enough, and he gets up into the wall. That flame that you see there is an oil fire. That's not a fuel fire, and he stayed in there. The amazing part is, of course, is that nobody else got involved.
So we take a look here at Greg Moore's car to see, it's difficult to see on this side, but what damage there may be as a result of that. Gary Gerald is down in the pits. Gary?
Carl Hogan, I know you're concerned. Did you have any conversation with Emerson on the radio?
Well, not at first he didn't answer, and then finally he answered me. He said, "Get me out of here." So it sounded like from his voice was pretty strong, so we're hoping he's okay.
I know that that's the primary concern, but what great disappointment for a team. You're so primed, so pumped. The optimism was very high in this camp this weekend, it felt to me.
Yeah, we were pretty conservative all weekend, and we were running good, and we felt good, and if the replay is what it shows, someone hit us, and it just really perturbs me.
Thank you, Carl.
Very concerned Carl Hogan. He and his driver, Emerson Fittipaldi, share a very close friendship. Now, they do have Emerson out of the car, and again, we're talking a non-life-threatening injury here, and it may even upgrade from that. Jack Arute?
Well, Paul, another concern down here is the ever-changing weather here at Michigan International Speedway. Now, here's what's happened. There is a forecast for some isolated showers around, maybe 2 hours from now. Here's what Roger Penske has done, though. He has heard about this and has dispatched his pilots to the airport. They're going up in the airplane, and kind of like a hurricane chaser, Roger's going to have his pilots go chase this weather out, map it out, and try and determine just exactly how much time before the possibility exists that it would rain here. it may come back to report, too, that it's not going to rain here all day. But these are some of the high-tech nuances that a team like Penske utilizes to try and stay up front.
You know, high-tech, but not necessarily new. Pat Patrick was doing that years ago when he owned a company right here in Jackson with a bunch of airplanes. Any race, he thought there might be weather. He'd send a plane out, find the weather, and then radio back to the track. We'll be back. Tonight on ABC, Tom Hanks, Bruce Willis, Melanie Griffith, and Morgan Freeman in an ABC network premiere, the television movie event of the summer, The Bonfire of the Vanities, following America's Funniest Home Videos and Lois and Clark, tonight on ABC. So we are still under yellow here at Michigan. They still have quite a bit of cleaning up to do, though Emerson Fittipaldi already on his way to the care center, but the car still being tended to on the track. And, Danny, that gives us a chance to look at this. We have another angle for you and also analyze a little bit more.
Well, there's Greg in the blue car at the left of your screen. Emerson coming on strong on the red. Whoa, they both just moved one down, one up a little bit, and just touched, and that's all it takes.
You can see, too, the good news is the fire tends to always be behind the driver on that kind of impact.
Yeah, and you can see in your screen here, the second two cars back, the blue and the red one, you see the little white right there in the middle of your screen. You can see just this little piece right in there. That's part of the car where they touched. And then they just turned it a little sideways, and that's all it takes. He just gets it out there sideways. He's going probably 200, 220 miles an hour, and that's all she wrote. He just gets up there, hits the wall. And I'll tell you one thing you can tell here. It comes around, and Emerson does a really good job of holding it in there. Believe it or not, he's working probably to keep that wheel in a little bit there and keep up against the wall. That's the best thing he could have done. It let the rest of the field get through cleanly.
Yeah, there were 5 cars right behind, and they did a good job of getting through. The question, though, now is, what about Greg Moore, Gary?